What's going on, guys? Unknown Player here, and today we've got some more things to round up. Lots of info about things going on inside Destiny 2 recently. Going to be talking about a bunch of things regarding loot and events, also summaries of things Bungie have been saying. They are of course starting to come back from the holidays, and there have been quite a few blog posts and tweets and even an in-game update. So as usual, I wanted to go over all that for you guys, let you know what's happening and what will be happening in the weeks to come for the game. So let's begin with a bunch of stuff regarding updates. So if you logged on to Destiny 2 today, you probably noticed the small hotfix or patch update that was installed and wondering what was inside it. It was pretty minor, but it's things we knew were coming. So these were fixes basically for Iron Banner and Faction Rally to basically be applied for people without DLCs. Of course, as you know, there's a bunch of stuff about locking players out who don't own the latest expansion, but Bungie fixed that for a bunch of stuff, whereas Iron Banner and Faction Rally for some reason were a bit more complicated, and those took weeks to fix, so those have now been addressed. That means Faction Rally and Iron Banner are going to be returning soon. Now, in terms of how soon, Deej gave some updates on Twitter, and he mentioned how the weekly blog post is going to return on Thursday, and that is when they're going to map out the dates of when the Faction Rally and Iron Banner go live. He said the events in themselves aren't going to be coming back next week, but that is when they start posting a bunch of info. So seeing as none of them happened inside December, they were supposed to, of course, but were delayed because of the whole content thing. We are technically behind by a month, and none of those events did happen. So I would expect the following Tuesday, on the 16th of January, is when I would expect at least one of those events to come back. Now, it is also worth noting that when these events finally do return, they are going to be the very first iterations of the Season 2 of both Faction Rally and Iron Banner. So there are going to be some loot changes there and how the events work. Of course, there are now ornaments for the existing gear. So stuff that you earned back in Season 1, you're still earning that, but now they're going to be ornaments with challenges, as you can see. So this is basically the Season 2 armor. And there are also, of course, loot changes. So Iron Banner, for example, just one that we know of, is at Saladin you can now buy stuff directly with tokens, and you can actually get stuff instead of hoping for RNG to get lucky out of the engrams. So there are going to be more changes like that. It definitely sucks that we've had to wait so long to see the Season 2 versions of the events. They are going to be a little bit different to the initial versions we saw back in Season 1. But if I was to make a personal guess on which event I think is more likely to return first, I think it's probably going to be Faction Rally. We were only a few days away from that going live before it got cancelled, and we also saw the loot system, so all through auto rifles, those are going to be the winning faction weapons. So that's my personal guess, but of course we'll have to wait and see what Bungie say next week. But that's some of the initial info we have so far on the events returning with some changes. So today, Bungie also posted a very quick Happy New Year blog post with some minor info and reminders, and also a very strange picture of Ghoul as a baby. But firstly, of course, the Dawning is ending on January 9th, so next Tuesday. They said with a new calendar year, they're looking to fill it with a new season of rituals and rewards that's going to be available to all. They said as they come back to the studio, they'll be giving out some more info on the plans for the next update to Destiny 2 in a blog post, which of course is also returning on January 11th, so next Thursday. So a pretty standard post, very vague as usual, but that is what they said. It seems that next week is going to be when the real info is coming out. Deej did also mention today on Twitter how he had the first of many meetings with Chris Barrett about changes to Eververse, among other things, of course. This was quoting a tweet a few weeks back that Chris made about changes they're looking to make. Obviously, one of the most notable ones, and the one he quoted, was about Eververse and feedback to it. So, yet again, the conclusions of those meetings is also going to be coming out next week. So expect a lot of blog posts and news to be coming out around then. And of course, I'll be covering it all on this channel, so stay tuned for more info. So on the topic of updates, I wanted to also mention the January update, which of course is going to be similar to the December ones. But I decided to go through every single blog post and tweet and article that's been posted since December, and going to round up everything that Bungie has said they're working on for the near future. I expect most of them to be inside the January update. We know some of them are going to be later on in February and March, and just generally 2018. But there have been just a ton of random posts in all kinds of different places from loads of different people at Bungie. It's like every other day someone was mentioning something coming in the New Year update. But I wanted to compile absolutely everything that Bungie have said in one list for you guys so you can keep track. And there are a lot of things that and I'm sure a lot of you have forgotten about as well. So currently, as it stands, a list of everything they're working on for the January update and just beyond is firstly an overhaul of the mod system. They're going to be looking to simplify this and also make it more meaningful. Something we haven't heard from in a while is the emote wheel, of course, allowing you to equip multiple emotes at the same time. So you can have 4 exotic emotes and choose what you want to be on your character. There's also the ability to put shaders on swords, a very random thing. Exotic duplicate protection, so getting less of the same things from exotic engrams. They'll be fixing 3 of coins in heroic strikes, which is the one place they currently don't work. They're going to be overhauling the entire loot system for prestige activities, so raids and nightfalls. They're going to be fixing that to make them the most rewarding activities in the game. They'll be launching the prestige version of the Eater of Worlds raid layer, and also retooling the entire raid loot system for both raids. In terms of Masterwork stuff, there's going to be a protection system against a dry spell of Masterworks, so after a certain amount of time, if you don't get one, you're going to get one guaranteed. And then separately, something else is going to be guaranteed sources of Masterworks. There's going to be Masterworks armor pieces, and also, of course, adjustments to Masterworks in general, so what drops on them, how effective they are, and how they work essentially. There's also going to be better loot for adventures and lost sectors, modifiers for heroic strikes, a new third difficulty in addition to normal and prestige for players with the latest DLC, a quitter penalty for competitive Crucible, changes to Eververse, which I'm really interested to see what they do there, and of course private matches. So that is basically the full list. Again, don't expect all of those things to be inside the January update, but that is a full compilation of everything that's been said over the past month or so in a dozen different tweets and blog posts and articles. And that's basically a rundown of everything Bungie are supposed to be working on right now. So moving on, let's talk about a bunch of stuff regarding a Nightfall, and unfortunately even more bad news coming from Bungie. Yet again, another Nightfall is actually broken, but this one is even more unfortunate because it's actually a very special piece of loot tied to this Nightfall and only this one, and now it's going to be unavailable because of this broken bug, or I guess thing they need to fix. So for the very first time this week, the Nightfall strike was actually a Garden World. The very first time a Curse of Osiris strike was actually the Nightfall. So as you may remember in my latest video, I mentioned 2 emblems which can't be obtained just yet, and they were kind of hidden emblems inside the game that nobody knew how to obtain. As I did point out in the video, they did seem to be tied to both new strikes, and as it turns out, that is exactly what they are for. So the way you get them is by beating the prestige version of the Nightfall, meaning the emblem is now available. Definitely a very random thing that I don't think they've done before, having an emblem tied to the prestige version of a Nightfall, but this was how it works. Now, like I mentioned, this strike is actually bugged, unfortunately. Apparently, there's something to do with clan engrams not dropping properly. I mean, I personally don't think anyone really cares that much about clan engrams. Don't think it's a big deal, but for this reason, they've changed the Nightfall to the inverted Spire strike. So I guess now if you haven't done the strike, this emblem is no longer available, and you are going to have to wait until the next time that Bungie put this strike as a Nightfall, which who knows when that could be. It could be a couple weeks or a couple months from now. So the emblems in themselves are just rare quality, so they don't track anything. They are very cool looking in my opinion, and of course they are very exclusive. You have to do the prestige version of the Nightfall, not even the normal version, so it is quite a challenge. The main modifier was Torrent, so you could just spam nades everywhere, but I really do think it sucks that a lot of people won't be able to get this thing. I mean, anyone who can't get on during the week would have missed out on this, and in my opinion, I don't think it's that big a deal to miss out on this clan engram. It's really not that important. I think it's way worse that anyone who couldn't do the Nightfall in those first 2 days it was up are now going to have to miss out on this emblem until the bug can be fixed, which could be weeks or months from now. There is, on the other hand, the other Curse of Osiris strike, the Tree of Probabilities, which does have this emblem, and hopefully they put this up next week or soon. But either way, these are 2 emblems. One of them is currently bugged. That is how you get it anyway. Want to let you guys know, and that is what happened with the whole emblem and Nightfall situation, and why the strike has now been changed to Inverted Spire. So next up, I wanted to half let you guys know about something, but also get some info from you guys as well in the comments. But this is in regards to the gift schematics in the tower, those daily quest things that you pick up for the Dawning. So this is something I've been keeping an eye on for the past week or so since I noticed it happening to me personally. But at a certain point, you don't actually have to do the quest at all, and once you go to the presence, you just get given the loot instantly. It's a pretty weird thing, but it's definitely a bug and not supposed to be happening. It is obviously really nice because you don't have to go around all the planets collecting those materials and killing those weird enemies it requires. But for the past week, I've been trying to figure out what exactly causes this so I can let you guys know. But it's also very hard to pinpoint what causes this and how exactly to get these free gifts to start dropping. As far as I know, it seems like you need to have collected a bunch of schematics and basically not turned them in. So I had about 6 or 7, maybe 8 of them across all my characters. And I basically grabbed them every day, and even though I had no intention of actually doing them, because they're very time consuming and not worth the effort in my opinion, I basically grabbed them, and after a certain point, when I had a lot of them saved up, it just started giving me the stuff for free, where now every day I can just go up and grab the presents, and it gives me the loot automatically, as you can see in the gameplay. So like I said, the main reason I wanted to bring this up is because there is zero information on this right now on the internet. I've been looking around forums and videos and asking friends, but literally nobody knows really much about this. So feel free to comment down below. I know a bunch of you have also had this. I've seen a bunch of tweets and comments about it. So at this point, my best guess is that it's something to do with having a certain amount of incomplete quests or schematics on you that haven't been turned in yet. But if I can get more specific info, then I'll update you in my next video. Obviously, this is the last week of the Dawning, so there isn't much time left. But I only started getting this free loot around last week, which is also when a bunch of you were tweeting me asking why it happens, but it's a pretty weird one. As a tip for now though, even if you don't play much Destiny these days, if you want some free stuff, then make sure you log in every day on all your 3 characters, grab the schematics on each of them, and then after a few days, you should start getting a bunch of free loot for nothing, which is obviously nice. And this stuff is going to be very exclusive. When the Dawning ends, you will never be able to get this stuff ever again until, I guess, next year's Dawning event. So grab it while you can, no grinding required at all. You can also dismantle this for a bunch of Glimmer and Legendary Shards, which is also worth it if you're low on that stuff. But that's everything I know on this bug right now. Hopefully you guys can get some free loot out of it. And of course, let me know down below in the comments at what point it starts happening for you as well. So hopefully that's been some helpful information for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, then like ratings down below are always much appreciated. Of course, stay tuned because next week there are going to be a bunch of blog posts and updates and news to cover. Make sure you are subscribed if you aren't already so you don't miss out on the info. In the meantime, if you want to watch another video I made talking about the Stranger and a couple of other interesting topics, then you can click the image on screen right now to be taken to that video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.